station. So we're building Choryujin today. But we'll see if we still have time for Gikkeryujin, which is also here. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna start. So let's see what we got here. And I already did an unboxing video. So we need to segregate shits and stuff. So this one is the plastic one. This is let me to look what we're dealing with today. So put this on sides, and so we have this. We only have this one for this 1 minute, and we have some parts that that fell off from the boxes, so we got. So this is the two AU runners. Okay. Just this is C1. We have B1, a bunch of fallen parts. No, it's not over here. Just gonna put this there. And as for this is B1 and the stickers. Hey, welcome to the stream. No. I'm building this today. Choryujin from Gaogaigar. C2, C3. 2, C3. C1, B1. Next. It's kind of windy today. Hello, welcome. B3. So C2, C3, C1. I think we're on the last. I know. more. So two off. Okay, so there's some another parts. So let's check this out. Okay. Hey, hello, welcome to the stream. V1. I think we're all set. Boom, bam, bam. So let's start with Henry. Damn, it's a bit windy today. Sucks. Welcome to the stream. Hello. Hello, welcome. Oh, I'm building a model kit. So I'm building this one, a model kit of a mech series called Gao Gaigar. So this one is called Choryujin. It's really hot. Oh, it's a kid. It's from an old show. Around 1990s or something. Oh, I don't know. I think you're the only one watching me. Hmm? Tatay? Kisa may kauban nimo? Kisa kauban nimo? Tuwa-tuhob. No, it's only one person. Yeah, only one person who is watching. It's only you. Nguhan siya te, nangita siyang lolo te. Nangita siya siyang lolo. Hello, welcome to the stream. Hello. We're selecting 19. Hello, welcome. Mochi2xSensei. So that's what this. Let's see. Mochi231. Wala.
Ano sa kanatao, Nay? Ano sa kanatao? 19? 7? Ah, 1947 po na. Handa, nakabuli.
Ang kanding.
Nakabuli ng baka.
Baka?
Suda do yung baka. Binigay na.
Oh, nag-live ko. Nakauna ko.
Nalipot na ilang baka. Ilan nakarulog bulan.
Swell. 65. Tatay? Oh, 65.
much pricier brands, the Essential Open earbuds are a great option for everyday listening. Click the link in the description below, or go to buyraycon.com/MNJTVOpen to get 20% off. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring. But anyways, you seriously haven't been working out? No! I've been working inside. Because it's so hot. We talked about this. Ugh, away with you. Okay. But just please don't tell boss about the tank top. He'll punish me with a three-piece suit. Ta-ta! Next, let's travel to Cerulean City. A beautiful city with flowing water and blooming flowers. Thanks to that description and Misty's prominence, a water-type Pokemon should be our first target. And, as you might imagine, there are a lot of those. Across the city itself, plus routes 4, 5, 24, and 25, the routes near the city that don't require cut to access, you can find an enormous swath of water Pokemon. There were so many, I had to build a spreadsheet tracking the encounter generations and methods for each of them. By the way, I didn't limit fishing to just the old and good rod because those would be the easiest ones to get for just any regular person. Unsurprisingly, Magikarp is the most consistent appearance, but it is a terrible starter. Gyarados is clearly fantastic, but Magikarp is so weak that you're never going to win enough battles to ever properly level it up. Unless you're a Pokemon YouTuber doing a challenge run. But the Cerulean children are not that. Of the remaining water types, the only Pokemon to appear in at least 3 gens are Goldeen, Psyduck, and Poliwag. But Psyduck and Poliwag each have an edge over Goldeen. Psyduck is the only one to appear on land, making it easier to find, and Poliwag is part of the 3-stage line. Also, Seeking is terrible. Golduck and Poliwrath/Politoed are not. Between Psyduck and Poliwag, though, I prefer Poliwag thanks to its 3-stage line. Now let's look at our type triangles. Water is only part of 2, the original and water, ground, electric. The latter one is impossible. Not one electric type appears anywhere near Cerulean City. But this is okay because the blurb mentioned blooming flowers, so grass is a solid fit. Oddish and Bellsprout appear north of Cerulean on routes 24 and 25 in literally every generation, usually as version-exclusive counterparts. These are the obvious top candidates, but which one wins out? I'm going with Oddish for 2 reasons. First, the mention of blooming flowers. While Blossom have those, Victory Bell does not. Second, it has a split evolution like Poliwag, so there's a nice parallel there. Then lastly, we need a fire type, and it's not quite as pretty as the others. No fire types appear anywhere near Cerulean City in any generation other than 7, and even then, they are sparse. Charmander is a rare spawn on Route 4, but not doing that, obviously. And then Moltres can appear in the sky all over, but again, obviously no. On Route 5, south of town, Growlithe appears in Let's Go Pikachu, while Vulpix appears in Let's Go Eevee. These are clearly the best choices, and I'm selecting Vulpix. It and Ninetales' regal appearance fits the vibe of Cerulean more, in my opinion. Not a 3-stage line, but when choosing between that and a type triangle, I'm gonna prioritize the type triangle. 3 stages is just simply too limited. So behold, Poliwag, Oddish, and Vulpix are your Cerulean starters. Now let's dip under Saffron, like we do in the games, and head to Vermilion City, the international port town where magnificent boats gather from across the world. Port town. Gotta have another water starter, but ideally a more oceanic one this time. Again, a ton of options, but what could help me decide is locking in the other 2. I could go with the original type triangle and mimic Cerulean. Oddish, Bellsprout, Growlithe, and Vulpix all spawn on Route 6 in at least 1 game. So I could go with a new water type, plus Bellsprout and Growlithe to change up the trio. But honestly, I think that'd be kinda boring. I want to make each town's trio feel really unique to that place. So just mostly copy-pasting Ceruleans wouldn't accomplish that. The other option is water, ground, electric. And we do have a couple options for ground. Sandshrew, which spawns on Route 11 to the east, and Diglett, thanks to, of course, Diglett's Cave. Electric is more limited. None spawn nearby in the Kanto games, but in the post-game of the Johto games, Magnemite appears both on Route 6 and 11, which makes sense considering all the engineers on the ladder. So let's lock in Magnemite as our electric starter. 3 stages is very nice. As for the ground one, I have to give it to Diglett. Dugtrio sadly has overall very low stats, but Diglett's Cave is an iconic Vermilion City landmark, while Sandshrew is found all over the place. Plus, thanks to Magnezone's 4 times weakness, Dugtrio still has a good chance to maintain its advantage, even though it's 110 base stat points weaker. Feels like to me, instead of 2 different forms/counterparts, it should have gotten an evolution. Like, Dugtrio? And not Digging Trio? As for the water type, I'm going with Horsey. You can fish it up both in Vermilion City and Route 11, plus find it sea skimming on the ladder in Gen 7. The only downside is that Kingdra's dragon typing removes its weakness to electric, but like I said, we cannot make everything perfect. And like I mentioned, I want to hold on to some of those water types for a later town. Therefore, these 3 are your Vermilion starters. Next is Lavender Town, a solemn, quiet town. People come to visit their departed Pokemon. So there's an immediately obvious choice here. It's clearly Ghastly. This 3-stage Pokemon swarms the Pokemon Tower. There's no chance the citizens of this creepy town would avoid using the region's only ghost type. Ghastly is perfect. And yet, a major problem. The only type triangle that features Ghost is Ghost, Ghost, Ghost. Now that would be super fun. But this is Kanto. So Ghastly is all we've got. So we could go for one with Poison, but that also doesn't work nicely. Its only type triangle is Poison, Grass, Ground, which is a perfect one, and we have an ideal ground type, Cubone. Like Ghastly, it spawns in the tower every time it exists. 2 issues though. First, Ghastly and Haunter are immune to ground due to Levitate, so the matchup isn't fair until the final evolution. Now I could overlook this, but we have an even bigger problem. There aren't any grass types near Lavender Town.
Spending money for your family doesn't have to cost thousands of pesos. That's why I switched to Wise. They use their real market rates, never mark it up. You can save up to 70% on the same transfer. Don't impose, so you'll always know how much you're paying and how much your family will get. Be smart.
Town. Yes, some do appear on Route 12 to the south, but all the way at the end of it, past the Snorlax spot. And yes, you do get the Poke Flute in Lavender Town, but what random citizen is going to intentionally awaken a violent Snorlax that clearly likes to nap there? End of Route 12 is just too far for the regular Lavender people. I spent more time thinking about Lavender Town than any other city in this video. And here's what I ended up deciding. We're going to almost complete a type triangle. We're going to make a type V. Ghastly and Cubone are starters. They are thematically perfect. As for the last member, it'll be Jigglypuff. Don't worry about Higglypuff. It doesn't exist. Jigglypuff appears on Route 8 to the west of town in Gens 1, 2, and 7. And thanks to its fairy typing, it is weak to poison. So if we just skip over the Levitate issue and go to the final forms, Marowak's Ground beats Gengar's Poison, that beats Wigglytuff's Fairy. The triangle does not complete, but we have 2 of the 3 legs. Best we can do without grass. Also, Gengar does have quite the base stat total advantage in the final forms. But again, just don't worry about that. We, like the locals, are just working with what we've got. Let's once again sneak under Saffron and pop up at Celadon City, a rich, rainbow-colored city where people and Pokemon gather. Rainbow, huh? Like Erica's rainbow badge. Many colors bursting out from a bland, colorless center. Wait a second. Colorless. In the TCG, that includes normal types. So one normal thing, surrounded by many colorful things springing forth from it. That's just like Fast form! Just kidding, it's Eevee. Eevee should be the Celadon City starter. And in fact, the only one. Eevee is inextricably tied to Celadon City. In Generations 1 and 3, the only Eevee is found atop the Celadon condominiums, simply sitting there within what seems to be a small-scale trainer school with a particularly arrogant teacher. In Gens 2 and 4, Eevee is a gift from Bill and Goldenrod over in Johto, but you can get more at the Celadon City Game Corner. I don't know where they're getting them.
Hmm?
The people of Celadon City clearly have
Hamon ulit.
exceptional access to the
Basta
food.
hope.
It could be because of Route 17. In Let's Go, you cannot get Eevee in Celadon due to its starter role in Let's Go Eevee, but you can find it wild on Route 17, part of the former cycling road. This is the only place Eevee has ever been wild in Kanto. Don't worry about the Snorlax. I know I said that was like a big problem for the people of Lavender trying to go south of Route 12 to get the grass types down there. But like, the Celadon people have other resources, I guess. They have to find some things to make everything work. Okay. Additionally, the Celadon department store sells water, fire, and thunderstones. So instead of choosing one of 3 Pokemon, new trainers would just always get Eevee, then choose which stone to use. Exactly what Blue does in Yellow version. Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon don't form a type triangle, but like the Lavender starters, they're 2/3 of the way there. Although I suppose one could choose to not use a stone and end up with one of these 3. And then there's also the Leaf Stone and Ice Stone, and Ice Stone's not really there, but like the Leaf Stone you could get, and if it's the modern mechanics, where that's how you get Leafeon. I'm a little worried this is getting kind of too main character energy. I mean, Eevee has actually been a starter before, more than once. But you know what? I think it's okay. I think it's okay. And we're just gonna... let's now cycle down, but Gen 7, to Fuchsia City, a historic village that has become new. Okay, cool. Anyways, it's Safari Zone time, baby! Woo! It is only in Gens 1 and 3, but that's all I need. The perfect Fuchsia City starter trio will be from the Safari Zone. Although I do have to immediately eliminate many of the most iconic Safari Zone Pokemon. Not only are they far too strong to be starters, but they are exceedingly rare. The Prodigy protagonist struggles to find and catch these Pokemon. The regular citizens have no chance. We need common, easy-to-catch Safari Zone Pokemon. And oh boy, this worked out perfectly. First is Rhyhorn. In Gens 1 and 3, which remember are the only gens in which the Safari Zone exists, it is exclusive to the Safari Zone. It's also an ideal thematic fit. It's a Rhino. You see those on Safari. Next is Execute. Just like Rhyhorn, exclusive to the Safari Zone. Mostly. It also shows up in the Berry Forest in Gen 3, but that's not technically in Kanto. And while egg-like seeds don't evoke safari imagery as effectively as a rhinoceros, Executor as a tree kind of does. There are fun trees on safari. And would you look at that? We not only have 2 members of a triangle, but we have 3 options for how to complete it. Grass, ground, poison, grass, rock, bug, or grass, rock, fly. I'm personally out on grass, ground, poison, though, despite it being perfect. While the Nidorans are plentiful in the Safari Zone, they're also plentiful elsewhere. An Execute's psychic type eliminates their intended advantage. Grass, rock, bug is also not a great fit, since after eliminating Scyther and Pinsir, the bug options are Venonat, weak to psychic, or Paris, also a grass type. Therefore, we're going with grass, rock, fly, and we have the perfect final member. Doduo. Doduo is not exclusive to the Safari Zone, but it's found on the way. It's also thematically great. These things run around just like ostriches. This is a perfect Safari trio, which can be seen even outside Kanto. All 3 are found together in Blueberry Academy's Savannah biome. And as the cherry on top, if you limit access to the Protector, then all 3 are 2-stage evolutions, which is not my preferred 3-stage, but they would all be on even footing. Rhyhorn, Execute, and Doduo are the perfect fuchsia starters.
Spent a pepper day. I've been feeling a bit stressed at work lately, so I plan to use it.
Now it's finally time for Saffron City, the biggest city in Kanto, shining with a golden light. This turned out to be kinda tough. I thought of pollution Pokemon like Grimer and Coughing, but they aren't actually found anywhere nearby. Closest is in Celadon City, but that is its own city. I also thought, big city, technology, has the magnet train, so lots of electricity, but electric-type Pokemon are also not really present. Pikachu, Voltorb, and Electabuzz are nowhere close. So then I looked at the 4 routes that border the city, and they're just full of Pokemon found all over Kanto, and in fact have a ton of overlap with each other. In short, Saffron doesn't really have any unique wild Pokemon. It's too big, too central, too ubiquitous. But that might actually be its charm. Think about some of the wild animals you would most commonly see in the middle of a big city. Pigeons, rats, and stray cats. Now let's look at the Pokemon that show up on routes 5 through 8, the ones that surround Saffron. Pidgey, Rattata, and Meowth appear widely on all 4. In Gen 1, ignoring version exclusivity, all 3 appear on all 4 routes. This is how most regular people in a big city would catch Pokemon. They wouldn't go through the Fighting Dojo trials. They would just step out their front door and catch something that they see. Now, of course, these 3 do not form a type triangle, but having 3 normal types is the only way a pure normal Pokemon could ever become a starter. At least in a balanced way, since normal is not strong against anything. Also, unfortunately, Pidgey is the only one with 3 stages, but nothing we can do about that. I actually would have preferred Spearow, so they'd all be 2-stage, but it doesn't show up nearby. It's far from perfect logistically, but it is perfect thematically. And I'm finding that in a lot of cases, I care about that more. And if you've watched this far into the video, you're probably enjoying it, so if you want to see more of my videos, you should subscribe. It's a great signal to YouTube to have it show you more of my videos. And also, I would appreciate it. Our last location is Cinnabar Island, not the Indigo Plateau. It is not a town, it is a place of business. Like Arlington, Texas.
Going to bed, honey?
Yes, dear. Cinnabar Island's blurb is, a town used to be here until it was swept away by an eruption. Ooh, yikes. Just back up in time there a little bit. The town at the foot of a volcano. Pokemon Mansion is located here. Okay, much better. Let's just move forward under the assumption that everything is fine. Cinnabar is Kanto's only island settlement, and it's not a very big one. The Fossil Revival Lab is here, but the fossils themselves are far away. Pallet and the Seafoam Islands are not crazy far, but they're not accessible without a boat, surfing Pokemon, or exceptional aquatic athletic ability. So many just couldn't get there. And if they could get to Pallet, then they would just get the regular Pallet starters from Professor Oak. The only wild Pokemon one can find locally on Cinnabar either dwell in the sea or in the ruins of the Pokemon Mansion. Now, the mansion does have some intriguing fire types, especially Magmar, who'd realistically be scaled down to Magby as a starter, but the type triangles with fire require types that Cinnabar does not have. Plus, I doubt most people would care to enter a decrepit, abandoned mansion overrun by criminals. It's also probably stinky. In short, I don't believe a type triangle is possible here. So, let's take a page from Saffron's book. Earlier, I talked about how Vermilion is a port town, so it needed a water starter. Cinnabar takes that to a whole new level. It is surrounded by the ocean. No other Kanto city is this connected to the water. And especially considering all the other limitations, I believe the Cinnabar starters should be a trio of water-type Pokemon. Tentacool, Staryu, Krabby, and Shelder are my top candidates. All four can be found simply by fishing off the shore of Cinnabar in at least one game. There are some others, but some I've already used or eliminated, while others feel more like river or lake Pokemon to me, even if they aren't, literally. All four candidates are two-stage Pokemon, but Krabby is the only one to not have a secondary type in its final form. However, if I go with the other three, Starmie ends up with an advantage over Tentacruel, unbalancing things. Realistically, the Cinnabar trainers would probably just choose from all four. But if I must narrow it down to three, the Cinnabar starters are Shelder, Staryu, and Krabby. They're all pure water type in their base form, while Tentacool is not. Plus, this avoids the messy Starmie Tentacruel matchup. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more installments in the other regions, well, to be blunt, it's going to depend on how well this video does. I have employees, so gotta be strategic. And if you want to see another one of my videos reimagining the starter choices, then check out my video if you could pick a starter Pokemon from every type.
With Maribank, you get instant cashback and discounts when you spend. Get 1% cashback.
In a world where both Pokemon and people have fallen to a zombie apocalypse, surviving a single day is a miracle. Yet somehow one kid has managed to make it this far with nothing but his loyal Gallade by his side. This fellow's name is Wally. But how long will it be before he also falls? Today we're going to find out the story of Pokemon Breakout. His story starts in Slateport City. It's not only totally wrecked by the zombies, but our main character also wonders if his family is okay. The only friend he has left at this moment is Gallade, who unfortunately is way too weak to fight. The moment he arrives by boat and steps out of the harbor, he notices that zombies are crawling everywhere. He can't fight them head on, so he needs to find a way to hide away from these creatures, get on top of the Pokemart, and jump into the settlement that some of the survivors here made in Slateport. After some heart-beating moments, he eventually manages to sneak inside and searches for supplies he might be able to use. By pushing a box in a certain direction, he's able to jump over a bookcase and finds a rope that allows him to climb up to the roof. After shouting out, he quickly draws the attention of a patrolling officer. After explaining how Wally got here, they let down the ladder, which means our main protagonist is safe, at least for now. After a quick scan, the officer sees that he is indeed not infected. These scanners are an invention of Professor Birch. He's a scientist that tries to fight the zombie apocalypse by doing everything he can to find a cure and build devices that help all the remaining survivors. We also find out that Wally came all the way from Alola, so he's clearly been through a lot after having to take a raft from a stranded ship. Eventually he gets dismissed and starts looking around the city. Finds a familiar face. He's surprised to see that Wally is alive because after what happened back then, he thought he was dead. At that time, he was too tired to even react much after meeting back with him after so long, because he was one of the friends he made back in Alola 16 months ago. And we're about to find out what happened.
Hey, welcome.
His day starts
Afternoon.
off in a hotel where he mentions that his breathing issues are gone. The moment he mentions breathing issues, his Gallade pops out of the Pokeball and tries to take care of him because the moment it hears breathing issues, it goes into alarm mode. Luckily, our green-haired friend is fine. Together, they head out and try and meet their regular battle training. Before heading outside, Wally talks to innkeeper Mr. Nelson. Here we learn that Wally has been sleeping for the past 3 months, heading out straight in the morning and coming back mom and the son eventually leave, we stay behind to talk with the other trainer. His name was Tony, and he came all the way here from Kalos. He only just arrived here, so Wally ends up giving him a tour. That's how he met him. They quickly bonded over the course of the next few weeks and started challenging the battle tree together. But none of them could ever imagine what awaited them next. We interrupt your local zombie apocalypse with this important message from Red Magic. All of the undead here have been trying to get their hands on their new Astra 2 gaming tablet, and Red Magic has been kind enough to send this bad boy to me. With the awesome RGB lights and being customized to your own liking, it feels like it's already the final evolution of gaming. If you still don't think this thing is cool, just take a look at the cooling fans and liquid cooling system. These will make sure you don't start sweating even in the most heated gaming situations. They sent me a list of specs too. Snapdragon 8 Elite, Red Core R4, and 185Hz OLED screen. I have no idea what any of this means, but it sounds like some future Paradox Pokemon, so can't be bad, right? What I do understand is that every game I've thrown at this thing runs ridiculously well. I guess it kinda helps when you can customize your own settings. You know what's better than one USB-C port? Two! So now the cable won't get in the way as much if you want to play while charging. Not that you're gonna have to do that a lot.
A shop for your season 2, now available only on
Play while charging. Not that you're gonna have to do that a lot because this thing's battery will last you a lifetime, or at least 9 hours with daily usage. So if you're ready to evolve your very own gaming experience, go and check out the new Red Magic Astra 2 with the links down below. A huge thank you to Red Magic for sponsoring today's video, and with that out of the way, let's get right back into it. Back in the present, Wally and Tony are talking about what happened after the apocalypse started. From what Tony knows, most people moved to Mauville City, which is now a big stronghold for survivors. But there should be other settlements here and there too. The desert, for example, has bandits running around that have raided Mauville in the past. Apparently, criminals have moved into Rusborough and they're now calling it the City of Outlaws or something. And where we're at now is basically just a vacation place where people come to clear their mind, which is actually a really good thing. That means the zombie apocalypse isn't that big anymore, or at least people have learned how to cope and survive with it. Wally immediately wants to go check on his family, which are probably in Mauville if they ended up surviving. So our heroes group back up with the officer, who's going to send a signal to the cycling bridge guards to let us through, because there's been a lot of security increase ever since all the criminals have started popping up. Tony mentions that if this keeps going on, they will be adding taxes soon, which would be terrible. I guess some people would really rather live in a zombie apocalypse than pay their taxes. And I am certainly one of them. At the security point, Wally gets signed up by the guard, Bingo. And after a moment, we're already on to the rest of the bridge. But something immediately catches our eyes. There's no zombies here at all, only an entire market setup. Here, Wally could stock up on some of his favorite items. Unfortunately, he didn't have the money for that right now. After he saw Tony haggling for prices, he headed further down the bridge and started thinking. He had forgotten that due to the Kyogre and Groudon fight, the entire region's landmass had shifted, which is why the bottom of this road is now basically filled with water. When Tony eventually arrives, Wally tells him he could never come on this bridge when he was a kid due to his breathing issues and him not being able to ride a bike. He always wanted to come up here, but now that he finally is, everything is wrecked. That made the both of them wonder, how did all of this even start? Did somebody trigger the zombie apocalypse on purpose? And if somebody did, Wally would make sure that they would eventually pay for their crimes. But it was all just an accident. Right. We then pan back to 16 months earlier, where Wally arrives at the hotel late at night. Mr. Nelson was watching the Pokemon news. Apparently, a huge explosion occurred in a research facility inside of the Palkia region. 12 researchers died, 16 were injured. The cause was yet to be determined, but you can only assume it was an experiment. Some sources say they saw an odd Pokemon flee into the wild, but the authorities are still investigating the matter. We headed up inside of our room to go to sleep, but decided to watch the news just a little bit longer. There was an update on the incident already. It seems the Pokemon that was sighted bursting out around its body. The sky has also turned dark, which are the signs of terrestrialization. So maybe this is a terrestrialization experiment gone wrong. This Iron Thorns has also been spotted hunting down other Pokemon. The Pokemon it injures also seems to turn just like it. The authorities are trying to contain these infected Pokemon, but it seems like their own Pokemon are getting infected in the process. Everybody has been evacuated and the whole area now seems to be under lockdown. It sounded pretty bad back then already, but all Wally could do was go back to sleep. Back in the present, Wally has just made it past Emmett and into Malville City. He and Tony head to the roof area, bonk on some kind of shutters, and ask for a room. They eventually let us inside, and we see some very familiar faces. Norman, Roxanne, Brawley, and Flannery are all here, and they're super excited to see that Wally is okay. Watson was in the back of the room too, doing his invention stuff, which is why Norman hands me a phone for communication. Wally goes on to ask about his family, hoping that Norman would have some good news. But unfortunately, it seems like they all perished in the apocalypse. This news hit Wally like a truck, though he'd been preparing for it for quite some time. Unfortunately, Norman has also lost his son, Brendan, who's supposed to be the strongest trainer in the region. With all of this incredibly bad news loaded upon our shoulders, me and Tony head outside. We learn that his family also never made it back to Kalos because they were visiting Paldea, because they never had the chance to evacuate on time. But from now on, it's up to us to see how far we'll end up. We can sit here all day thinking we could have made a difference if we were with them back then, but the fact is that we can't change the past. All we can do is do our very best to make a change here and protect this city. Even though Tony made his speech, Wally still thought by himself, if I wasn't in Alola, would things be different?
BDOK. Install it now.
Customization transformed her beauty brand from ordinary to extraordinary, lighting up the future.
Different. In the past, Wally woke up the next morning, put on the news, and saw that the situation only got worse with every second passing by. The infection had fully spread on to Kalos already, so now both regions had been put under quarantine. Public concerns also shifted more to the ocean and international waters because more water-type Pokemon were getting infected. So the government was currently very busy trying to contain all of this. Wally and Tony couldn't believe it was spreading so fast, but still made a joke about the four horsemen and them being Blade and Edge. They couldn't do anything about it themselves, so they just went about their regular day and headed over to the battle tree. While Wally was walking, though, the sky suddenly turned very dark, and he thought it was another rain shower. He went to New Pony Path, which is where he met Tony fighting a pack of lichen rocks. He didn't mean to do this, but they suddenly just jumped him. In that moment, the crocodile appeared and used the earthquake to scare all of them off. It's revealed to be Nanus, one of the island's kahunas. He says that the lichen rocks were probably running away from something very dangerous. Otherwise, they would never just randomly attack a person. Nanu thought it might have been an ultra beast because they sometimes still return to these areas. But the moment our crew hear a scream from the distance, they knew it wasn't just that. Big footsteps started to shake the ground as a huge Totem Kamo O came around the corner and turned out to be infected. Nanu tells us to run because he's going to try and hold it off, but his crocodile gets struck down and ends up turning into an infected zombie Pokemon as well. He tries to make it go back into its Pokeball, but that doesn't seem to work. So me and Tony end up jumping in before it's too late, because if these two get to the rest of the island, everybody will be screwed. Our heroes is Mega Gallade and Mega Scizor manages to scare both of the opponents away. With this newfound information, Nanu told our heroes they needed to let the rest of the island know so they could evacuate. So while Wally and Tony went back to town, Nanu get in contact with the Aether Foundation, who might be able to stop this. Back in the present, Wally and Tony were standing in front of their room. They were talking until a door behind them opened up and Baseball walked out. He and Wally seemed
I don't know. We'll know if we go ahead. It's coming. It's there are only 19 royal lords. 1, 2, 3. The royal lords have fallen one after another. It's over. No way. 19 royal lords defeated so easily. That battle was a bit strange. Those royal lords were seriously injured. Otherwise, we wouldn't have won so easily. The royal lord's injuries are quite strange. Is this related to the massive energy fluctuations several days ago? It seems that someone has taken action against the royal lords before us. This is. Follow this direction and speed up. Yes. A few days later. Is this the origin of the Ink Clan? There seems to be nothing here. Is this a cage? What a massive structure. You're finally here. You're finally here. Someone is here. Someone is actually here in this damned place? This is the land without spirituality, the deepest part of the Ink battlefield, and the origin of the Ink Clan. How did he survive without any energy? These passes really look like the handiwork of Duan. It seems that his disciples have made a difference. The cage that imprisoned the Ink Clan was built from Duan's artifact refining. A few of us cooperated with him to build it. It's just that Duan ended up being imprisoned with his body and turned into a part of the cage before dying. What? This boy. He can see me. I have clearly hidden myself, only showing myself to those 9th rank blue rays. Why did the 7th rank boy spy on my location? Is there something unique about this boy? You finally arrived. I've been waiting for this day for a million years. Sir, what do you think the old ancestors and the old sir are talking about? The old sir? How can there be any old sir? It's that old sir. Stop talking nonsense. Is there anyone else there besides the old ancestors? I just say what I can see. Why did you have to hit me? You can't see him? Young boy, do you really see another existence besides the old ancestors? It's true. It's a human. There is actually a human race here, and even we can't see through it. His strength is incredible. Could it be the person who helped the old ancestors get out of trouble before? We have to find a way to get closer and find out. Eyes meet. The old sir has been alone for so many years. I'm afraid he has long forgotten the taste of tea, so go serve some tea to the old sir. This task will be given to you. Why? Shut up and go. Big head Siang. I hate you. 1. I was sent here to serve some tea. Old sir must be thirsty. Let me serve you a cup of tea. All right. Keep talking. Well, okay. According to the ancient records, the various cave heavens and paradises suddenly appeared in the 3,000 worlds in a single night. After that, they took in disciples and nurtured their juniors. When the disciples grew, they were sent to the various mountain passes of the Ink battlefield. The human race and the Ink Clan have been contending against each other for many years, only gaining the upper hand in the last several hundred years. Finally, they have gathered all the forces of the mountain passes and carried out an expedition to reach this place. Old sir, please drink some tea to soothe your throat. Good tea, good tea. I haven't tasted tea in many years. I've almost forgotten. Senior, we have many questions, and we hope that you can answer them. What do you want to know? Feel free to ask. What is your name? Song of the Heavens? No, Song of the Common People. Song of the Common People. A few years ago, when my fellow Taoists and I were trapped in the Ink Nest space, was it Senior who saved us? It was me. Many thanks, Senior. If it wasn't for your help that day, we would have died in that Ink Nest space. There's no need. That day, you saved yourself. If it weren't for the aura of your great battle leaking out, I wouldn't have thought of taking action at that time. It seems that the aura of the great battle leaked out because Bright King Heaven's old ancestor's soul self-destructed. Senior, is the Mother Nest of the Ink Clan here? Mother Nest. Is that what you call it? That's right. That's right, the Mother Nest is indeed here, in the darkness, sealed within. Is this the source of the Ink Clan? Yes. How does Senior refer to the Mother Nest? Ink. It calls itself Ink. Ink Clan's source land. It named itself? Could it be that the Mother Nest has its own sentience? Naturally, it has intelligence. In earlier years, this old master used to chat with it casually, but later on, it found ING, so it ignored me. So that's how it is. We've speculated before whether the Ink Nest had its own will and whether it would one day give birth to its own sentience. However, there has never been a precedent. It seems that only the Mother Nest can do it. Since it has sentience, why didn't it attack us when we were trapped in its Ink Nest space before? Is it wary of Senior? You can say so. What is Senior's current cultivation? Have you already surpassed the 9th rank? Is there a higher realm above the 9th rank? Strictly speaking, this old master's realm is still